What's going on, Shades? Thank you for coming on today, man.
L to the D. What's happening? Good to
Same.
see you. First time, what is it? First time call? None of that. First time being on.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to have you on. We had a nice long conversation yesterday,
We
and
sure
uh
did.
and I really appreciate you coming on here today. No, we're gonna have an awesome conversation here. So,
Absolutely.
you said that you had some stuff that you wanted to start off with today, but one of the things I wanted to ask you about, first thing today is the devil.
Oh, yeah, he's been following me around. Yeah, that alcohol, that devil. I don't know if you see my shorts, my those little skits or whatever, but that's basically he symbolizes alcohol. I mean, we're facing all of our own demons, whether it's overeating, whether it's alcohol, whether it's substance abuse, opiates. I mean, it could be anything really.
Yeah,
Just whatever you're battling, and actually, life's pretty good right now.
that's awesome, man. So
Yeah,
he's gotten off of your tail for a little bit.
yeah. I think he's taking a break. I think I just scared him off. Backcountry's book scared him off, I think.
Did you have any, was there like an event that happened that like was really made you go, okay, there's something going on here, he's really on to me right now. Was there something that occurred?
Well, no, it was just an idea that I had about just kind of bringing a little bit more humor into my content. And to specifically speaking, probably the last time he did have his pitchfork in me was at the last detox that I did, which was back in, I want to say June. I
Okay.
was there. I had had a couple of weeks of sobriety and then fell off, was
So
there for 7 days.
what's your, how long you got now since your last relapse?
Today's the 15th. So on the 23rd, I'll have 4 months.
Congratulations, man. That is awesome, man.
It's the longest I've had since I came out of that relationship and lost 9 months. Yeah,
How,
so it's an accomplishment for sure.
so how long were you off the wagon for that last time? Was it for just a couple days or?
It was enough. It was like I said with the kindling that I have. Um, I'm in trouble after 4 days, maybe.
Yeah.
Just I'd say by 5 days I can't eat, and I'm shaking,
Yeah.
and at that point I'm like I said, I mentioned the Valium. Even if I were to take it, I couldn't get the alcohol withdrawal staved off
Gotcha.
because of I become what's called refractory.
Okay.
I guess it has something to do with the tolerance, but yeah, and then I end up having to go somewhere. Sometimes they use phenobarbital, sometimes they use Librium, but it just you know that time when I was suffering toxicity, I blacked out and woke up well in the ambulance and then had to go to the hospital. I Because of that residual Valium being in my system because of the half life, the alcohol on top of it just pushed me over the edge. I don't remember a lot of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, those times when that happens, we often don't have a lot of memory from them. If you had to say like one thing that you took away, like that you learned from this last experience, what would you say that is?
I could break that down into two.
Okay.
I'm tired of having to go to detox. I'm
Yeah.
tired of sitting somewhere, not sleeping in my own bed, being surrounded by a bunch of strangers. Sometimes they're often cool, other times they've got serious social uh, deficiencies and deficits. You know, a lot of times there are people in prison that have been in prison that come in, and they're like, oh, I guess it's just the institutionalization part of it, sort of makes them start acting out. They start walking around with their shirts off, like out in the walking area. It's you never know who you're going to be around. I usually end up with cool roommates. I'm easy to get along with, so I don't cause too much trouble. Never cause any trouble with staff or anything like that. I'm just tired of the whole upheaval and chaos
Yeah.
that 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 happens. Or sitting down there wondering what in the world, what the hell's going on? What am I going to do? I may have lost a job because I've done this so many times. I mean, I am truly grateful and thankful to my employers and my retail job that they have not gotten rid of me alone. I never got in trouble like intoxicated at work. I wasn't doing that, but I was calling out, on days that I was really, really needed and just felt horrible about it. In fact, I had a talk with the boss, told him I had 4 months coming up because he used to be a heavy drinker himself and he detoxed on his own and said he damn near lost his mind. So he does know. And he shook my hand. And he said, "That's great, man." And
That's
even
awesome.
offered at one point to drive me to meetings if I
Oh,
didn't have a
wow.
way to get there. But the meeting I go to, I walk. I can walk to it.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad that you were able to take something away from it. And like I always say, relapse is part of this journey. And you know, often we learn things from our relapses. And it sounds like, with your last relapse that you learned that you don't want to go through that again. You don't want to go to that facility again, deal with just a whole, you know, it's just a whole
Well,
ordeal.
I did a lot more listening this time and participated, and other times I've just gone to detox, kept to myself, not really, oh, I know the routine. I've got it down pat. I'm in AA. I've been through this program twice before. I know about grounding techniques, CBT, that kind of thing, and just sort of not playing it off, but maybe not really being really mindful of the opportunity that's being afforded.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Not really absorbing osmotic or otherwise what they're trying to teach. And I know it's a business for them and they like
Mm,
insurance,
yeah,
but you're certainly where are you going to go? You can't do it on your own. And I've been going to the AA meetings. I take antabuse, and you don't want to ever rise to stress. It's a good option for people if they're truly serious about drinking and they think that they can take it because once you take that stuff and it takes about 3 or 4 days to build up, and if you were to quit drink it can stay in your system for like 14 days. So you do not want to drink on it, and I know that. I know what'll happen,
it
and
makes you
that's
extremely
just
ill.
sort of a safety net. But to put it in a nutshell, I just took away more of what they were offering.
That's good to
Maybe
hear.
decided a little bit more spirituality and allowing a little bit more of that to come in
Yeah,
and participating more in AA, sharing a lot more, that kind of thing.
that's good to hear, man.
Mm.
Well, Shades, if you don't mind, could you just give us a little bit, like for the people here on the channel who don't know who you are? I mean, you watch every video and you're always in the comments. I mean, I speak to you basically every single day. But for the
Yeah, I
people,
bother the hell out of everybody when I commenting.
no, not at all, man. It's a pleasure to have you there. But
A little bit about me.
yeah,
Well, it's probably in one of my videos. I was born in Huntsville, Alabama. Space camp is there. My father was an aerospace engineer. Work contract jobs for NASA for a company called Brown Engineering. They did design the lunar lander, Grumman. It was a Grumman contract. Um, Grumman, like the F-14 Tomcat, the
yeah,
Top Gun, Grumman, that company makes them. They made the lunar landers, and he did engineering on that side. And then after we reached the moon, when Apollo 11 reached the moon and Neil Armstrong walked on the moon and Buzz Aldrin, then the contract, the money, the funding for the whole space program excuse me, program started to be it lessened. So Apollo Soyuz was the last project that my father was on. It was either that or Skylab. Uh, Soyuz was our joint mission, the first joint Russian cosmonaut astronaut mission. So after that, he's going, well, what are my options? At some point, these contracts are going to dry up. People are getting pink slip like left and right. So he looked around a little bit, went down to Florida for a look see at a job, and he would go down for not, I want to say 6 or 7 weeks, come back to Alabama, go back for another 6 weeks, come back, and my mother kind of got tired of that. She's like, well, "What are you going to do?" Then he got offered a job as a cost estimator. We would have had to move to Saudi Arabia.
Oh
My
wow.
mom was not, she was not having any of that. She's like, I'm not going to wear some burqa when or whatever, some covering if I go off the base or whatever. So somebody tipped my dad off and company, or well, North Carolina, as a Marine Corps air station, Cherry Point. Nav Air does all the naval rework for Marine Corps and Navy aircraft. Rework meaning they work on all the airplanes.
Okay.
It's basically like a mechanic shop. They're aircraft mechanics and everything out there. He was just an engineer. He designed gearboxes and things like that, or improve things, or fix things that were broken. And he retired about 15 years ago.
Okay. So you've lived in North Carolina for quite some time then.
Yeah, I went to high school and I went to UNCW. Got an English degree, a BA in '97, and then in 2005 I got a BS in communications. And then in
Awesome.
2004 I got the DWIs. Lost my license. I didn't drive for almost 10 years. I still don't drive right now. I'm working on keeping the sobriety so that I can have people that know that I've been sober. Maybe even my doctor would go to a hearing. You'd have to have a license restoration hearing.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now, and just working part time, doing the retail, doing the YouTube. I was covering a town remotely as a crime reporter and like general assignment reporter. But like in one of my videos, I said I'm not doing it anymore. Kind of had a disagreement with the editor. He's really young and he's too much too soon, in my opinion. He had one other reporter walk out on him. It was just, I don't know. We didn't get along that well. I hope he's doing well, but I don't want to be a part of it anymore.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for telling us a brief history about yourself. Would you mind giving us a brief history into your drinking? Like, how did it all start for you? Like, kind of lead us into, when you started and then how it kind of escalated and, how
Well,
much
it
were you drinking
started,
there?
I was straight edge pretty much, listening to a lot of
Oh,
punk
okay.
rock music when I was a teenager, and we were anti drink, anti smoke. Some people are anti sex, like we weren't. I mean, as far as the drinking and the smoking, we didn't do any of that. We didn't take any drugs. We just rode skateboards, and that was it. And then I didn't start drinking till I was 23.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was late. I was a late bloomer when it came to that. I didn't cross over after I graduated in '97. I kind of would spend my time. Well, there wasn't a job waiting for me. I didn't do an internship because I was already writing for a publication called Juice Magazine. They're out of Venice. They used to be in Wilmington, Venice, California.
Okay.
They're like a surf, skateboard, punk rock publication. That pretty much was my internship. I mean, I was already getting paid writing before I even graduated from
Oh,
college.
wow.
So I never did that, but I got out. I got out. Sorry, phone. Stop it. I don't know. Was that you?
No.
But I heard it always does that. I'm sorry about that. But I didn't really do an internship. I didn't have a lot of work experience when I came out. I still have limited experience. That's why I'm probably going to change careers, do the substance abuse counseling thing. I thought about doing. I'm just tired of not making any money, and I don't like living here. It's kind of embarrassing, to be older and you got to move back in with mommy and daddy. I mean, it's because I couldn't go back to my apartment because they had rented it out because I thought that I was going to be moving in with that other that my girlfriend at the time, and
Gotcha.
that didn't happen. They rented the apartment out, and then I couldn't go back, so I just moved over here, and it's temporary. I mean, I'm going to be out of here soon enough. Maybe hopefully out of this town, either towards the New Bern area, which is west of here, or southeast back down to Wilmington
Okay.
and see. But the drinking, back to your question, the drinking, it just didn't come on. It would be weekends. We would go downtown in Wilmington. We would play foosball or shoot pool. I was the only one that ended up the alcoholic. Uh, None of my friends are alcoholics, so it's not like I got a friend that drinks. He did drink heavily. I wouldn't say he was alcoholic, but he just quit. He drinks near beer, non-alcoholic beer.
So
But
you're
I didn't have to get rid of my people. The places, yeah, I don't go to bars anymore. I've never been a bar person really. Or if I went to the bar, I'd go by myself. That's kind of drinking alone. But I was drinking here. I was drinking at the apartment, off and on, binge pattern. That's always been my pattern. What was your pattern like? I know that you pretty much stayed constantly intoxicated.
So when I was in my in my teenage years, I was drinking, on the weekends for the most part. And then it got to the point to in my 20s where I started drinking like all the time. I would say probably when I got to be about 21 years old, I really started drinking, pretty much almost every single day. I wasn't drinking like, a case of beer every day, but I was drinking a couple tall boys every day after work. But then
When
as I started getting into my later 20s, that started progressing into, well, then I started drinking on my days off all day long. And it just gradually started getting into, well, I drank on my days off all day long. Then it got to, I drank every single night and I drank all day on my days off. And then it got to, well, then hair of the dog. So I would have a couple drinks in the morning. And then I would have maybe a beer or two throughout the day or whatever. But then it progressed into my 30s where I just started drinking all day, every day. I mean, there wasn't a moment that I didn't drink. It was constant.
it's insidious,
It
cunning,
is.
baffling, powerful. I mean, before you know it, you've crossed over into that disease territory. You can't turn the what is it, the pickle back into the cucumber.
Yeah,
Once you just can't do it. I've tried, and it's just the definition of insanity.
it
I
is.
don't need to repeat it as a cliche, but doing the same thing over and over again, it's just insanity on a hamster wheel. You just jump back on, and due to the kindling process, you're just going to increase your withdrawal severity. The
Yeah,
next time you pick up, you're going to increase the intensity of the withdrawal symptoms, and it just goes. When you're a kid, you wonder why can't a drunk person just quit? Well, they can't just quit.
yeah, no,
You see the stereotype of the guy with the bag, he's under the bridge, he's there, and you're like, well, how did that guy get there? Well, he probably at some point was a social drinker. Then it started getting into maybe a couple of times a week, or then it's like every other day, then it's every day, and then it's hair of the dog.
hmm,
And then there you go. The person has to drink, otherwise, he could possibly die, go
yeah,
into delirium tremens. And seeing a homeless person like that is terrible, whether it's, they have an opiate problem, or they have an ethanol problem.
yeah.
It's all addiction. It's all bad.
You're
So
you're exactly right, man. And that's the thing, is that we see somebody who's, knees deep in their addiction and think, how in the world did that person get there? It didn't happen overnight. it happens over time. This
Excuse me, how old were you when your first drink?
my first drink, 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah,
Like, not no
I
kidding.
took a
I've got pictures of me holding a can of Budweiser, the old Budweiser can with the, the old like rip top that you had to tear off of it. I've got pictures of me holding a beer can, just a little teeny tiny kid. Back in those days, it was like a joke. People would give little kids beer all the time, be like, "Here, drink this," and it was like funny. And I would walk around with a beer in my hand. We would go to like a family event or something, and I would be handed a beer. If I went and did yard work with my dad, it was like if I went and worked all day long on a Saturday morning with my dad doing yard work, you know what my uh like your present for working so hard. My dad, he'd crack a beer after he got done doing yard work and he'd go, "Here, you can have one too." And I would get a beer at a young
see,
age.
yeah, that generation of the baby boomers and stuff, like when I was there was always that cool family, that lived somewhere in the neighborhood where there was underage drinking and all kinds of craziness going on, and where it was kind of just nobody. Today, you would get in serious trouble for that.
Oh,
Word would get out.
absolutely.
I mean, but nobody ratted on anybody. Nobody said, "Oh, well, Mrs. Johnson." It was has teenagers over at her house, and there was just a lot of that going on. Like back in the '80s and the early '90s, I
Oh
guess.
man, my
But
best friend's dad, I was a young teenager and my best friend's dad was a really bad alcoholic. I've spoken about this before, but the first stereo that I've ever bought from my car, which was a tape player. We went around my best friend's dad's yard and picked up all his beer cans out of the yard because he would drink his beer and just throw the cans on the floor. So we went around and picked up all the beer cans, put them in trash bags, and took them to the recycling place and got enough money to buy a stereo. But his dad would, we'd go over there after school, and his dad worked construction. So he would get off work at, 3, 4 o'clock, whenever he got off work in the afternoon. And his dad would be back in his shop drinking. And we would walk back there to speak to his dad, and his dad would always say, "Hey, you boys want a beer?" And we would just sit back there with his dad and drink beer after school every afternoon. That was just what we did. And his dad, on the weekends, his mom worked at night. So we would go spend the night at his house, and of course, his dad had like 5 DUIs, so his father couldn't drive either. So I would drive his dad to the store, and his dad would buy like 4 cases of beer for us for the weekend, and we would all sit around and drink beer on the weekends with his dad. And back in those days, it was just like whatever. Nobody ever like ratted anybody out or anything like that. I mean, it's just what you did. And I started drinking really young.
yeah, I know you didn't get any DWIs, but what's probably the most embarrassing thing you've done?
Oh my gosh.
If you had the top,
Of
the number one.
the most embarrassing thing I've done, probably.
I mean, that might be digging a little too
No, I mean
deep,
it's that like that's a hard one to think of because like I've done so many embarrassing things. Oh my gosh. Man, I have no idea. I mean, I've talked
I know
about the
you
time
said,
I went streaking down
no,
the middle of the road in a 4-lane highway. That was pretty embarrassing. I've embarrassed myself so many times. I can't even tell you. I mean, I used to wake up in the middle of the night at like 3 a.m. and just lay there staring at the ceiling because I would wake up and think about something I had done that was embarrassing and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I would just lay there and think about all the ridiculous things I had done when I was drinking. There's no way I could put my finger on it. I really couldn't. I mean, I could sit here and talk about it for the next 24 hours about things I've done that are embarrassing. I have no idea. I
I think
constantly embarrass myself.
I think about the most embarrassing thing I did was when I went out to take a leak on that guy's deck and crouched down. I think for some reason I crouched because I was getting drowsy or something, and I was on the edge of his. He's extended the deck back and put like a gazebo over it since, but it was a drop off like before he did that, and I just sort of crouched down and fell forward, and I fell probably 4 feet, and then landed. I'm assuming hit my head and then rolled over because I was on my back, like looking up. And it was Thanksgiving Day. It was that day that I played that round of golf and drank that beer and drank all that wine. I mean, we drank all of it. Our teeth were all purple. The other guy like went to see his family like after we played golf, and my buddy told me that his folks wanted to know why his teeth were purple. Like when he came over for Thanksgiving to like stop by and eat, I think. But yeah, I mean, the other side time I went up to the this bar, this like within walking distance. I I don't know what happened with that. I think I was taking Ambien for sleep. Well, maybe that had some kind of interaction. Those are don't.
Oh yeah,
That's
I've
another
heard
big
I've heard
no.
horror stories about people drinking on Ambien.
And then blacking out. And I think there may have been a reaction about that because the next thing I know, I'm walking into traffic. Like I had set my wine down and commenced to go through the doors. The people that own the restaurant said that I opened up the doors. I was swaying like from side to side, like went out into the highway. And I guess I don't know where I was going because I was walking the wrong way. I wasn't in the direction of my apartment. It's like I was working or excuse me, walking in the opposite direction into traffic. And then they saw me and called the police.
Wow.
The police came and they said, "Man, are you all right?" The manager of the restaurant over there called us. They're worried about you, and we'll give you a ride home, but you probably shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. So the next time I went into that bar, I apologized to them, but they said you only get 2 drinks from now.
Only
So
two.
I would drink the 2 drinks there, and of course I would go buy more and then take it to the apartment, and then just whatever. But it was a off on pattern. I didn't stay drunk for extended periods. I couldn't do it. I'd start shaking or I'd quit eating. Back in the day, I could drink for several months, but it got so bad with that kindling that I'm feeling all kinds of, and you don't have to have a blood alcohol level of 0.00 to start having withdrawal symptoms.
Oh no.
And I would be slightly or wake up, with that anxiety and shakiness. I had the tremors going on, not really a hangover, just a terrible feeling of just doom and dread and all that.
Yeah.
And then what do I do? Tear the
Do
dog,
it. Yep.
go up to the convenience store, a couple bottles of wine. And then at that point, I know, all right, there's no turning back. Just go for it. And then
Yeah.
hopefully you can get out of this. But it never ends like that. It'll always end up, got to go to detox,
How many times have you been to detox?
at least 10.
Oh really?
Yeah,
What was the age you first went?
34.
34.
20
Okay.
28 days. I was mandated
So
for it.
about 20 years ago was your first time.
Yeah.
Okay. So was that when your drinking really started getting out of control? Was in your early
I don't
30s?
think I I don't think I was alcoholic yet. I don't think the disease process had kicked in, the midbrain disconnection from the frontal cortex. I don't think that had happened yet, but I was doing very irresponsible things, drinking and driving, things I would never do now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, just thinking I was, and I think that the alcohol started developed from the golf course
Do
because
you
when I moved back from Wilmington, I was living here and we were playing golf all the time and we were drinking all the time. And I
yeah.
think and I got pulled on the second DWI. I was coming home from the golf course.
Oh, really? Did
Yeah.
were you driving erratically or something? Is that what made them pull you, or they pull you for another reason and then found out you were
Well,
drinking?
there was this big, tall black guy. He was a former Marine. He was in the reserves. I know he was at least 6'8", maybe. maybe 6 foot. He was over 6'5", and this guy was huge. He had somebody pulled over on the side of the road. Um, and this was before, it used to be kind of a courtesy, for safety or whatever, to yield and
Yeah.
get over in the other lane. It wasn't a law then. Um, this was 2005 or six, maybe. But I didn't yield. I went past him. And then he gets, after he finished up with the person he had pulled over, he jumped in his cruiser and I'm cruising along and I look in the rearview mirror and I see him back there and he's got his lights on, but he's in the inside lane. He's not directly behind me. And I'm on the outside lane. So I keep going, keeping my eyes. Oh God, I hope don't do it. Don't do it, man. Pulls in behind me. And I had driven, actually, okay, he stayed like away. He didn't pull, I take that back. He didn't pull in directly behind me. I kept going because there was a ditch with cattails, kind of marshy water, like a
Yeah.
ditch I was trying to avoid. So I didn't want to pull over like right there, but there was a food line and a gas station that was up on the right. So I was going to go down, and I pulled into the food line parking lot. The That food line's gone now. It's storage sheds. But that's when he pulled in behind me and he had his lights going and everything, and he came up and banged on the window, and he's like, and I rolled the window down, and he's like, "Sir, get out of the car." And the second that I got up, he snatched my ass out of the truck. I had a Nissan truck with like a camper shell on the back. Ripped me out of the driver's side, slammed me over the hood, and cuffed me. And he wanted to know why I was running from him. I said, I wasn't running from you, sir. I said, I didn't want to go off into that ditch down there. I was, just, I wasn't eluding or evading or doing anything like that. And there were empty beer cans in the passenger side floorboard. And it's like he
Gotcha.
took one look at that, and it was like I was just, God, here we go again.
Yeah.
So he took me down to the station. I blew, and my folks had to come bail me out.
What did you blow?
I don't remember. It wasn't low. I think the first one was a .16.
Whoa.
Yeah, it
You're
was twice. I mean, the second time that I went this year, no, the first time I went this year to the treatment center that wasn't in Raleigh, I blew a .38.
oh, good
They brought
Lord.
me they brought me in a wheelchair
I imagine they
because
did.
I couldn't stand up. It was like they wheel me in, and everybody. That's kind of the thing to do. Like after you've been like there, several days, and you're kind of out of the withdrawal. It's kind of fun to watch all the new meat walk in. It's like because it's like my God, they said that I was like look like this,
Yeah.
and the drool was just coming out of my mouth.
So
And then the
you
next,
guys can see the fresh fish coming in?
yeah, and then what's amazing is to see 3 or 4 days later how much better these people look.
Yeah, it's got to be amazing to see the difference from when they first come in because you guys get to see them wheeled in or whatever, and then 30, 40 days later after they've gotten sober, like just the brightness in their eyes, the color of their skin, just
And
how but
everybody, yeah, everybody told me, like let's say 5 days. I think I was there 9 days. They said, "Man, you're looking so much better." Everybody was saying how bad you look when you got here. We were in disbelief, and I'm thinking, man, I must have been, just messed up. But yeah, it's amazing to see that transformation when people just, women will come in looking really haggard and messed up, just terrible, like they've come off the street, and then maybe 4 days later they're wearing makeup again.
yeah,
Maybe the next day they've got nicer clothes on, and then they start talking. Nobody talks when you get there. You don't want to eat. All you want is the detox meds,
yeah,
and then you want to go get sleep. That's all.
Yeah.
So the first couple of days, nobody will see you, and then you come out, and then you start meeting people. Hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm over here. What do you drink? I drink wine. What do you drink? Oh man, vodka. You know, you start telling war stories, and you know, it's not bad. Like once you start, meeting the people, I always say it. Don't hesitate to go get help if you need. If you have insurance that the facility will take, by God, take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
It's not as bad as you think it is. Now, the food at this particular place is awful. I wouldn't feed it to a dog, but the treatment is treatment, and I wasn't
Yeah, it's
complaining because
you
I couldn't
know,
go anywhere else.
at the end of the day, the food might not be great, but at the end of the day, you're actually saving your life by seeking help like that. But Shades, I think this is a perfect segue for us to go ahead because we are out of time for this segment right here. I don't want it to cut
Okay,
us off. So I just want to say thank you so much for you coming on today. And
sure.
thank you so much, guys, for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please go check out Shades of Clarity. That's his channel on YouTube. He's
Trying to
got
get it growing. Trying to get
yeah.
it. Trying to get this up down.
Please go there and like and subscribe his channel. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys could check him out. I watch his videos personally. He's got some great in the last video that he did. He's got one on there with the devil, and it's actually that's my timer going off right there. It's a really funny video. You guys need to check it out. Uh, He's
Thanks, LD.
yeah, man, it's a great video. You did some great acting in that video as well. I found it hilarious. But once again, thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next segment of this talk with Shades of Clarity. Thank you, Shades.
Thank you, LD. Love your channel too, man.
All right, brother.